There is no one answer. The answer depends upon the approach that the particular helper or therapist or psychologist or doctor is taking towards these things. So our approach, before I answer that question, I have to say, so our approach is from process-oriented psychology or process work, and that is based upon three different levels. We deal with the real situation, with the feeling situation or the dreamlike situation, the dreams in the background, and then we deal with the deepest part of the person as well. So, and process work, one of its main applications is the body, so we'll focus on that, I understand today, but it has applications to world problems and to inner work and to psychotic, so-called psychotic conditions and to normal conditions.
And working with people near death and in comatose states.
Yes.
And so it's this huge, wide variety of things.
Exactly. Yeah. So if someone is in a coma, we would work differently than if someone is in a normal state, complaining about something. So process work deals with all these various states and with inner work and with large group interactions, and we do open forums and what have you. So now I understand, we will now direct it using this basis. We'll try to answer your question. So now ask it again, please. The answer is yes. You understand?
Well, one of the ideas in process work or process-oriented psychology is that we're often aware of some of our emotions and some of our feelings. We say we identify with them, or we call them primary. And then there are all kinds of other experiences that we have, maybe we're shy about, or we don't know so much about, that want to express themselves. And frequently, if we're not aware of them, then they express themselves through our body, sometimes through our body signals, motions that we make that we're not aware of, sometimes through our body symptoms that can be just medical issues, but also have a lot of information in them about our emotions and our feelings, about our relationships, through our movements, all kinds of spontaneous movements. They all carry lots of information about all of our different feelings and emotions, but we often don't study them or don't look at them and know what they're really expressing. So,
yes, a simple way of saying these things is that all the things that we feel but are not quite aware of, like body symptoms, oh, you have a pain here or you have a pain here, or signals like accidental things you make, little funny motions you might make that you don't want to make. These things are all apparently connected with our dreams. So you can see inside the world of dreams reflects not only in the dream world, but it appears in terms of body symptoms and signals that we're usually not aware of.
Our dreams, our nighttime dreams, Arny discovered the idea of the dream body. Maybe he'll talk about that. That the experiences we're having in our body that are sort of unknown, that we can find out about, we can discover also in our dream images at night. And then the spontaneous experiences we're having physically are also part of our dreaming process that's happening all the time. It's like there's dreams happening all day that are coming out and expressing themselves, and we can kind of step into that at any time, into that flow of that dreaming process, and discover what is being brought to us, what kind of information, what kind of gifts, what kind of wisdom, at any time.
For example,
For
example, we were just talking with somebody who was telling us about a symptom in her back, and I asked her, can you express that symptom more completely? And she said, yes, the symptom feels like this. So this is a very powerful person who feels very shy about herself. So you would see this power also in the dreams, but the idea is that what you're not aware of is like a dream that needs to be integrated into reality.
You could go, you can say.
You can say.
We're trying to figure out who's going to talk. But there's a lot of different signals that we look at in process work. There's facial expressions, there's movements, there's the sound of my voice, which might go along with what I'm saying or may express something else at the same time. There's the way things that I see visually. There's all kinds of movements that I make that I'm not aware of. There's many, many different kinds of signals. We call those channels, different channels that our process expresses itself in these many different ways of vision and sound and body feeling in movements. And we try to look at all of those different signals and find out what they're expressing.
We let the signal interpret itself. So sometimes the signal is yours, but it also belongs in part to the world around us. So like a dream is yours, but the dream may have an influence or may be part of the family system or the group that you're in. I'll give a very quick example of that. So you think of a child who was brought to me in Switzerland years ago, about 4 years old at the time, a little boy, and he had a funny problem. He was always spitting, like that. And the parents were very upset. Why is he spitting so much? So they brought, Switzerland, all countries have a culture where you sometimes have to be very proper. But in Switzerland, you have to be very proper, like that. It's even cleaner than other countries. In any case, this little boy would go, phew, like that. So I said, I don't want, the doctor said, can you help him? I said, no, not without the family. So the whole family comes together, and we're sitting there in my office, and I say to the child, would you just be yourself, whatever that means? The child said, yes, of course, pooh. So then the parents got very upset. So I invited, so there's a signal in that family that goes, bleh, makes some dirt, so to speak. Dirt in Switzerland is complicated. So then I asked the parents, I say, could you also act as if you spit a little bit? And they said, you want us to spit? I said, oh, that's too much. How about just throwing something on the floor just for a moment? Like that. So that they could do. They went like this, the mother went like this, the father went like this, and the child got so happy. And then I asked them, this is going well, would you also just do something a little dirty, not much? And they said, yes. So they took some water and they put it around like that. And the child started to laugh. Oh! And to make the story short, that was the end of the symptom and of the behavioral difficulty and of the signal of spitting. That signal was there not only for the child, it was there in order to help the whole family be a little bit looser and more playful with the child. It's quite simple, really.
They all needed to be more playful.
And all symptoms have personal meaning, especially for adults, and may have some meaning possibly for the relationships and for the family system and for the friends around.
Go ahead. No, you go ahead. Go ahead.
Do you try? I try.
Yes.
Okay. We watch each other's signals. That's how we do it. How can someone who's not a professional psychologist follow body signals?
Yes.
You don't have to. Just be your normal self. That's just perfect, okay, too. But if you want to go deeper in the relationship, if you need a deeper relationship, then well, just simply watch what the other person is doing. Someone is always going, for example, like this. I'm a very, like you were showing earlier today, a client who says, I don't know how to
relate to you.
I don't know how to relate properly. Can you tell me how to relate better? How should I relate better? And you're just a normal person, and you see this signal. How should I relate better? The person knows, and they don't identify with the arm that's going like that, but they're showing, just be direct. How can we relate better? How should I relate better? And then you can see that a normal, ordinary person sees things like that and says, well, just be more direct. That's one small example.
As somebody, if usually people are very shy about their signals that they're not, like me, I'm starting to scratch, that they're not aware of. But if you can take the time and meditate and think that there's something meaningful or wise trying to come out of you, and just study, oh, my arm's going forward. What might that be saying? What might that be bringing that's enhancing the relationship, that will bring more information than I knew before? And everybody somehow is wise and knows when they make a certain motion, they can study it, and it's not really very hard, and you can feel what is that trying to express, and then that will bring you some little information that you can add to the relationship.
Yeah, or notice the things that you notice, and something very simple, and like about the other person. Then you should also try to become what you see in the other and like. For example, I look at Amy. I really like her. And one of the things I like about her is she has curly hair. So when I look at her curly hair, very pretty,
Sweet.
I remember to relax a little bit and to be a little curly. I don't have too many curls.
Yeah, they're there somewhere.
Yes, that's the idea. Notice what you see in the other, their signals also. Don't just leave it with the other person. Pick them up yourself. Things that catch your attention. If you think the other person is sexy, then you should be a little bit sexier too, perhaps.
That's a beautiful question. I think that's probably something everybody wants and wants to work on, probably. Why a lot of us go to therapists, because we've had hard times or we don't know how to love ourselves. So, I mean, one thought that comes to me is that one of the biggest forms of love is appreciating all of your own experiences. That, like, if you feel, like if I come to you as my therapist and I am shy, I want more love or self-esteem, something that would be very helpful if you told me whatever I'm experiencing is okay, I can follow that. Like if I feel shy and my head is down and I don't know what to do, encouraging me to go inside and follow and just believe in my experience, that I don't have to adapt or do something else, that my experience is the important thing. And then I can go in and feel in myself, just follow whatever comes out of me from the inside, for example. And for me, that's one of the biggest kinds of love. It's this appreciation of really who we are and what's really trying to be expressed from ourselves. That's what I think when you ask that.
Yeah, that gives me an idea too.
Yeah.
That I was watching you when you did that.
Yeah.
Again and again, Amy said, that can help us feel more for ourselves. And I watched Xenia when she said, how can we help clients love themselves more?
Right.
That she made the
did
same double signal. So that signal means help people to focus and to give love to themselves. They say, I don't love myself, but something else knows how to love them. Their hands know how to love them somehow. The person who asks the question, the body almost always shows the answer.
Yeah, like makes me think of somebody who comes in and says, oh, I don't know how to love myself, I feel terrible, and let's say they're on a couch or something and they lean back like this. Something that we often say is that they identify with feeling terrible, but the couch itself, the thing that they're leaning on, is like a support that they're seeking, and it's a part of them that they're not in touch with.
Yeah.
Like getting in touch with the couch, the one that holds them up.
Yes, yes.
Having them feel that, being that presence can also bring the love that they're looking for, that's already there in the couch, so to speak.
I would say, so if you hate yourself in the moment, play out the one who hates you even more. Say, if I'm Arny and I have a critical thing that says, Arny, you're not doing right, then I would play that out with myself. Arny, you're not right. Arny, you could be better. Arny, Arny, Arny. And then I notice what I'm doing, and it may not just be self-love is important, but it may be that I need to be more the critic, have the critic's power.
This energy.
The energy. Arny. So I need to be pointing things out more, or showing them more. I need the power of the critic.
I can be very shy in public, and I think I sometimes am more comfortable like working in my private practice, or not as much, in front of the TV. So there's so many different possibilities that I know I've worked on in myself. One is what Arny was just showing about. One of the reasons that I'm frozen is that there's something criticizing me, or I'm imagining that the audience is going to criticize me, that they're thinking I'm going to say something stupid, or I look weird, or whatever. And
especially if you're in Russia and you have a lot of black curly hair, or if you were in Greece or the Mediterranean, you would feel more comfortable.
Yeah, depends on the culture.
Sure.
Yeah. And I know often I try to pick up, as Arny was showing, that critic power that says, you're no good, you look strange, or you're too stupid, or something like that. And then I can feel that energy, and if I go far with it, I feel my own inner strength, my own, what I really want to say, what's really important to me, and I can pick that up in my own way. And that's helped me a lot in speaking in public. And another one, you said you might get really frozen and blocked, which also happens to me. Sometimes I need to really block, close everything out, close out the audience, go deeply inside, take time, which I don't always do, and I just forget it and try to pretend it's not there, but sometimes I try to block it out, go inside and feel what's trying to come out of me, like from another level that's not just related to the ordinary speaking to an audience. And that's also helped me a lot. Those are a couple ideas. I think what I'm saying in this case is the one level is relating to what we call consensus reality, or normal reality, like I'm talking to you and everybody here, and I'm on that level of kind of ordinary reality. And then there are other levels that are deeper, that are the background feelings that I'm having, the more inner sense of myself, and then the most, what we call the essence level, the most subtle experiences that I almost can't talk about, but I feel, I sense them inside of me, kind of moving me. And if I let go, I kind of just feel those things happening inside, to say it very simply. and see if I can follow them, and they will show me how to come back out. I don't know if that answers your question exactly.
Yeah.
Or maybe you can answer that.
Yeah, if someone believes in God or has a spiritual tradition, then that's the moment to say, well, something should be moving me, not just me. And if people don't have a particular spiritual tradition that they believe in, that's okay too. Then they need to find the deepest part of themselves that dreams, dreaming while awake. And the dreaming part of you is something that tends to relax. The dreamer in you is someone who puts her head down on the pillow at night, or you can do that in movement like I'm doing just now. Just relax and pretend you're dreaming. This is a very, very important state. If you don't have enough of this essence level state of consciousness that's like this, then you might seek addictive or might have addictive tendencies. You get addicted to alcohol or drugs or something in order that you can be drunk, which is a little bit is okay sometimes, but it's very dangerous and it's a worldwide problem. People need to get to the essence level without alcohol, if as much as possible. And this essence level is so simple, but it means you have to relax yourself and let yourself be moved by, as if you were dreaming while awake. That's the way to say it. Or I call that in my new book, space-time dreaming. In the book, The Dance of the Ancient One, that I describe that particular state. And in this state, you see, what happens is spontaneous, creative, dreamlike, or new ideas come up. It opens up to the larger mind in you, the mind that's moved by your basic nature, that's moved by nature. And this larger mind has sudden insights into things. And so that can solve problems sometimes when you can't. Yes, for example, recently I had I can't say the details, but a government number of, I'm working on Skype. We also work directly with these people, but I'm working on Skype with a number of government officials from some country. And they're all sitting like this very nicely, and then they get into a conflict, hey-ho, and the other one says, and the other one says, hey-ho, and they got stuck. They didn't know, well, Dr. Mindell solved this problem. I said, okay, that's very easy. Everybody relax. They said, what do you mean relax? I said, I mean, just relax your neck muscles a little bit, just for 30 seconds, and I promise we'll get back to reality. 30 seconds. And to make the story short, so they did it a little bit, and suddenly someone had a new idea, which in that moment helped the whole thing go further. So it is something that everybody does. Everybody goes to sleep at night and goes to sleep, but to remember to relax your neck and take it, something that's so simple. They don't work with everybody all the time, but frequently that works right away. Especially if you learn how to do that, you'll learn how to get to this essence level where there are no figures, no dream figures, just being moved. New ideas suddenly pop up.
This is really, I'm just excited, so I'm just adding that this is really,
I'm
for
excited
me,
too. Yay! Yeah.
This is for me really the source of creativity, which I don't know if this is interesting for your viewers, but I love to create things and puppets and things, and one of the
Yeah,
best
she makes
things
a lot of puppets.
too many. They fill up our house, and there's nowhere for us to sit anymore. But if people, like if you're stuck in a creative project, or you want to find out something, a new creative inspiration, also doing what Arny was just showing. And you were saying, try to do something. And then a lot of artists and musicians have also said this in the past, if you can let go and just relax, as Arny was just showing, and see if you can get to the state of a kind of empty mind, like they might say in Zen, and letting go, and waiting till something pops up that creative that you wouldn't have thought of before. And it usually comes very spontaneously.
Yeah.
And that's, for me, the source of an incredible amount of creativity, and it's fun.
There are two main kinds of addictive tendencies. One of them is to get into this state, and the other is to wake up and get clear.
Like with coffee, even coffee addictions.
Caffeine, coffee, and drugs,
Other
drugs and what have you. And a little bit of these different substances might be okay, but too much is very dangerous and can injure, as everybody knows, can injure your health. Their body knows the way. Here's where the body comes in such an important thing. Someone who needs to be more connected with their dreamy, open mind might suffer from fatigue or depression. They think, oh, I'm tired. Oh, I'm depressed. Or, oh, I'm afraid of dying. These are quite normal thoughts, at least to begin with. And they could be, they're terrible, of course, but they could be useful in the sense that you say, oh, I'm depressed, to really just go down a little bit until you feel possibly carried. It's okay to get medications and do all sorts of other things with it, but pick up the essence of the depression. Go down and let yourself be moved. Or if you're afraid of dying, do go to a doctor, get yourself fixed up as much as possible. But don't forget, dying means possibly sometimes also letting go a little bit and relaxing into the state. And people who feel they need more energy, I have to have more coffee and get going and more caffeine, that's quite okay, that's a normal state. But if you relax a little bit, suddenly you'll see things beginning to happen, and your body will awaken you spontaneously. So it's body awareness to a great extent. Can help a lot. It's impossible to go to a restaurant any place in the world where people are getting together and drinking a little alcohol. They're so loud you can't hear yourself. So restaurants are impossible because of this addictive tendency. The whole community is seeking usually this kind of state.
I mean, I think that's wonderful if people like it and they're able to really find something really useful. And obviously, people are seeking that. They want it. That's why those seminars will exist, to find those states. And it's an incredible experience to find it with other people. People long for that, and people, since the beginning of time, have had rituals, and all of our indigenous ancestors and current indigenous people have always used ritual as a way to have a community experience of other dimensions of consciousness together. And it's with music or dance or acting things out or whatever, it's a huge part of our heritage in a way, I think, as human beings. And if people then are able to take that then into their ordinary lives too, in some way that's useful, then that can be wonderful. So it's not only that it's in one prescribed area, but that we have access to that in other times in our lives too.
Not just at the seminar.
Not just at a seminar, so to speak.
There is no one answer. That depends upon the person, but I'll speak for myself. If I'm feeling too tight about something, or I'm blocked in some way, or I'm in a public situation, we're often in public situations, and sometimes places where people don't allow, you have to act very official, and you must behave very academically, and you have to look intelligent, even if you're not. This is quite normal. This is consensus reality. This is the world we live in, and I love that too. So to begin with, I try to look like everybody else and like people expect me to. Dr. Mindell, you have to behave this way and that way. Speak about physics, speak about psychology. So I try to do that. And if it's a very, very uptight scientific audience, for example, then I will try to look scientific a little bit. But then I don't show it always, but I bring my other state, my more relaxed state of consciousness in by just closing my eyes occasionally a little bit like this and moving a little bit so it doesn't look too strange, so I don't hurt other people or make them afraid. And then I come out with my ideas like that. So everybody has their own way of doing it, but just closing your eyes a little bit sometimes, or looking down, being inside yourself for a moment or two. That's how to bring your altered states into everyday reality so that they can be helpful to you. Would you add anything to that?
No, I just really think I went into an altered state while you were talking.
She is in an altered state now.
I sort of blanked out because I'm seeing you making these movements, and it reminds me of my inner state because we've been so busy lately. So even though I think I shouldn't have it on television or wherever we are, that would mean in the moment for me to just drop out for a second and feel myself and think, okay, that's okay too. That I can have that, and then I can come back out when I'm ready and say something.
It's so important to relate to consensus reality, the reality everybody is in. It's important to be there, not to avoid the real situation. And also at the same time, to remember your body. And don't just do things, but stay close to your body, your relaxed state, and the way it does things. I can say it, of course, I can't always do it myself, but if you want to have fewer symptoms, that's a very important thing, to stay close to the state and to let that state do things the way it wants to pick them up the glass, not just grab the glass. This it is a basic state of consciousness, like we project it onto dreams. When you're dreaming like this, suddenly big things happen in a dream. Whoa! You wake up like that. You may go back to sleep again. So both in the relaxed state, both relaxation is present and energy is present. Relaxation does not just mean oh, it means oh, whoop, oh, whoop, sometimes. So in this relaxed state, it's I can pick up that thing normally, that's okay. But if you do too much of this, you have to travel, you have to be in public, you have to do this, you have to do. If you do everything like that, your body, you're fighting your own vegetative nervous system, and you begin to get symptoms from that. It starts to shake, or you get cramps, or you get headaches, or I don't know, people have all sorts of normal symptoms like that. So doing things with only your conscious mind, without relationship to your body, it ignores your dreams, it ignores your vegetative feelings, and so the body reacts against you. So not doing, we mean that like the Taoists talk about not doing, means being in touch with this deeper state, if you can sometimes, and don't be afraid. It will do things when it's ready, rather than you doing them. So then you can do the same thing. It will do the same thing. It may even do it faster. You have to answer email. Oh, we have too much email. But if I am close to my somatic experience and dreaming experience, oh, I say, to begin with, I don't want to do the email, and I say, it's done. So it helps the body a little bit. Mm-hmm.
One possibility is that those states are so forbidden, or that they, I'm thinking many different things, that maybe someone has a lot of power and they're shy about it, but it's been blocked, or they're so shy, or society makes it impossible to have that power or whatever, that it sort of builds up, and when you finally can get to that power, it has a chance to really, it wants to really explode because it's kind of built up in the background. And whereas if we were able to bring it in more consciously earlier, it might not be such a huge violence or a huge sexual thing or whatever, that it's in just an energy, but then it kind of builds up and finally you have a chance to really express it. And then it can be much bigger than it might be otherwise. That's good.
Yeah, I would add on, exactly, I would go on with that. Did you want to go on?
Okay.
I would go on with that also, that a lot of what comes out, this aggressive sexual behavior or being angry or whatever, with alcohol and drugs, is coming in part also from unworked out abuse issues. So if somebody has been hurt aggressively by their parents or by the world in some way, they're hurt inside and they don't realize their own aggressive tendencies towards themselves. It becomes unconscious. And when they drink too much, then that energy is really free to come out. They don't notice it, and then they go into those, they become, sometimes, some people become a little bit like the abuser that hurt them. Not everybody, but sometimes some people. And it comes out like that, and they need to work on that. They need to interact and understand it better and work on their abuse issues better. With a psychologist or by themselves or with a psychologist. A good psychologist could help them, surely. Just talking about it. Yes, that's what
sometimes that can help.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, it can build up. You can start experiencing symptoms that start to bother you because you don't have access to that energy consciously. Or then when you're free in an altered state, it can really come out. But having a little bit of access to it in everyday life can be helpful.
The first thing I want to say, it's okay not to have a partner. All of society is driving people crazy. You have to be a partner. You have to be in a partnership and be happy and loving and all the rest of that. So first I want to take care of those people. For most people, many people, it's right to be in a partnership. Some, it's not right. Everybody's individual. But now we talk about partnership. Okay.
Yeah.
So I don't know anything about it. You're the wise woman here.
No,
Yeah.
that's not true. I mean, I think we're really lucky.
I'm lucky.
I think I'm lucky.
Okay, we'll have
we'll have a fight about that.
We'll fight about that.
I think it's, I mean, I feel we have a great privilege and a lot of rank in a way to have a relationship that is so good.
Yeah.
That is so good. That we live together, we play together, we work together. We run together, go jogging together.
Oh,
yeah. We also do our separate things,
we
writing
like to
our
jog.
books. And,
yeah.
But I think there's many things that we do. One is we work on our dreams together every day, almost every day.
Every day, yeah.
And if we're having any troubles at all, we try. I think you're better at this than me.
No, you're better.
No, to kind of read into and really understand what, like I try to read into, really understand what you're experiencing, and Arnie tries to really understand what I'm experiencing. And sometimes that's really hard because you're just, you know, in every relationship, you're just on your side and you want it your way or whatever. But to have some of that fluidity is a gift if you're able to do it a little bit, and to kind of switch roles in a sense and share that with the idea that all of the different energies or experiences that we're having, we share somehow. They're not just Arnie's or they're not just mine, but it's a shared, what we call a shared field, and all the energies belong to both of us. And the more we're fluid with those energies or those opinions and feelings, the better things usually go. That we don't fight too much. But
we've been together almost 30 years, so we've had a little practice at that. So that has helped. Yes, for me, she can't have a problem or be upset about something unless I have the exact same feelings. This is, for me, one of the keys. What upsets her or what she might be nervous about is not just her feeling that way in a relationship. It's got to be a little bit me too. And that makes things always easier in a relationship.
For example, we travel a lot, we give seminars, we do a lot in the world and things like this, and talks, and I frequently am the one that gets more nervous. I'm more shy and get more nervous about public situations, as we said before. And you will frequently, even if you're not feeling so shy, outwardly, Arnie will say, well, yeah, there's a time I really understood that, or I can really feel what that's like, and you'll talk about what, somehow you find that in yourself.
I'm nervous too about something. Maybe I ate the wrong food or something of that sort.
Right.
That you share the energy of the other person somewhat.
That's one idea anyway.
That's a big thing, very big. Switch roles is one way, but you don't just switch roles. You really feel the other you can still stay in yourself. I'm Arnie, I'm not Amy. I'm Arnie. But as Arnie, I have similar feelings that she has. They may be a little bit different in different areas. And sharing that makes it a little easier for the other person, and the relationship is better as a result of that. So to begin with, I would say it's okay to be just yourself and not the other. If that works, great. And if you have fights, okay. If you know how to solve them some way, all the better. But usually those things don't work very well. So how can you find yourself, find the other in yourself? So first have a fight. That's very important. There's nothing like two different opinions. That's beautiful. That diversity, that's important. But then it doesn't feel good after a while. Then you need to find the other person in yourself. Switching roles, as you suggested, is already a beginning one. Go over to one side and look at the other side and see if you can feel what they feel. Switch roles is a very easy way. And an even deeper way is think for yourself, as yourself. Now, where am I a little bit like the other person? Even a little bit. And that's the great secret to all kinds of conflicts, both personal and international. It's a very big thing.
Go ahead.
Before we talk about that question, I want to go back to the other one just very briefly, because something came to my mind I want to share with everybody. An important experience of feeling into the other person to help a conflict get resolved. I want to mention that again. One more example of that, and then we go on with this question, which is very good. So I'm thinking, I mentioned this just in the seminar we just gave, but I must mention it again, because it's very important. Before the revolution in South Africa, we worked on conflicts in South Africa, and one of the conflicts was a tribal conflict between two tribes. I won't name them, I'll just say two tribes were having conflict, and it was an open forum, and one side was very angry and said, "I hate you, you've been terrible and your people have been terrible, and I want to hurt you." And the other side said approximately the same thing. And then one of the light-colored women came forward and said, "Oh, you don't really mean that. You don't want to hurt anybody, really." And that made the conflict worse. They got angrier. So then I realized I have to feel into the angry person. And so I tried to do it as best I could, which you can't because you don't know the other one's culture and history perfectly, but you try. You go into this other side, like used her thing. She said, "Yes, yes, I could kill you if this doesn't work out properly. I might kill you after this meeting. I have even a weapon in my pocketbook. I will kill you if it's needed." And then I went into that and I said, "Yes, you don't know what it's like to have been so hurt, so downed, so repressed, so hopeless. You have no understanding of that, and you white people are so stupid about that. Please understand." And that woman changed right away. She said, "Yes, of course, yes." And the forum went on, and it went out very well. So it's just an example of feeling into the other person, even if it's from another culture, another world than your own. This is a matter of life and death, what we're talking about. So I just had to tell you that. Conflict resolution with large groups, not just couples, but use this everywhere. Use it in your business. Use it in the world. It's a matter of life and death. We need to do that everywhere.
There's many things, but one thing that sometimes we do, if the couple's like working with us or one of us, and somebody talks about this other person, we think of that as a third party, or we call it a ghost role, meaning maybe they'll need to have that relationship, we don't know what will happen, but that in that moment, that other person's energy, what's so attractive about them, what do you love, or whatever, that energy may be an energy that's needed in the couple itself, but that they're shy about or that they're unconscious of. And bringing that in as a third party and having them act that out or find that expression in themselves sometimes can be really helpful. It's kind of like sometimes you work with a couple and they talk about, and they're like miserable, let's say. This is different than what you're asking, but let's say they're miserable and fighting and they're very serious, and then they talk about their children who are playful and wild and crazy, you know. That's like a ghost role, meaning that energy of the child is what this couple needs, but they're not in touch with it, they're only serious. And if they can bring that playful child in now, here, that can be really helpful. So that's one possibility with that kind of situation. You want to say something?
Yes, and it depends upon the couple and upon the people.
Yeah.
So Amy's general idea of bringing the other in as soon as possible, acting that person up. If it's some sexy person, bring in the sexy person. If it's some powerful man or whatever, bring the man, act that man out, and see how that affects the couple. Let them both play that out. That can be helpful in many situations, and in some situations, people will say, that's not for me. I don't want that in this relationship. I don't like that. So the person may be saying, I don't really want the relationship. So that's okay. So then relationships can also change or break up. But most of the time, they can improve by bringing that in. That's right. Something they're neglecting in themselves almost always. Yes. I think I said almost always, but out of the hundreds of couples that I have seen everywhere, I have to say, I think it's probably always the case that if there's another person that someone is attracted to, the first step is to bring that person into the relationship as soon as possible, act it out, see if they can pick it up together. That's almost always helpful to begin with. That depends very much upon the couple. If it's secret, the way you just said it, I would say, leave it to be secret, at least for the time being, but remind that person that they need to be the one who's attracted to somebody outside. They need to be themselves. More like, if you're a psychologist, you have to tell that person, you need to be more like that person, not break up the relationship you have, but try to integrate that at least into yourself. That's the first step. And then that may, as that person changes, the relationship may get better, or they may need another kind of relationship altogether. But the first relationships people make are almost always choosing someone that reminds you of a parent, one of your parents. So, almost, not always, but almost always. So the very earliest relationships are trying you are relating to a parent and having conflicts and working out the parental conflicts. Usually the majority of the human race probably waits till 35 or 40 to finally find or resolve those problems so they can have a little bit better relationships. Almost always it develops and it will go to the next step, whatever that step is going to be. We don't have a goal, or we don't think people should always stay together. We like it, we prefer it if they do, but some people should stay together and other people should stay together, discover something from that relationship, maybe choose another relationship at another point. Everything's okay. Mm-hmm.
I really have no idea, except it just makes me think something. I haven't really thought about it, but it makes me think that perhaps one idea is that the most intimate things that we do, the most intimate parts of ourselves, not just sex, but being so naked, that's what I want to say, being really naked, really intimate, really so open is something that's somehow forbidden in many cultures, perhaps all, I don't know. But that part of ourselves, really showing who we really are in our most naked selves, in our most intimate way, is like, there's like a taboo in culture, whether it's sex or just being so completely open. And maybe that's in the background. It's a social barrier to be that way in general, perhaps. That's what I'm thinking.
That's a good idea. And the second idea about the same thing is that not always, but the majority of sexual relationships, people are seeking some state, some transcendental or transpersonal. They're often seeking one of these dreaming experiences in themselves. It isn't always just because of the other person that they're in love with them. It's that they're seeking some transpersonal, some deep spiritual experience, some process experience of their process mind, of their deepest self. And usually this is something you need to do in meditation or by yourself. Bringing that particular state of consciousness into the world is important, but it's good often if it starts intimately, privately. So there is some sense to the privacy of it. On the other hand, we should be more overtly open about our altered states altogether. That's very important. Culture doesn't let, for example, if you're an adult, you're not supposed to be a kid. But I like being a kid sometimes, even though, what?
You love it.
Well, because it's inside of everybody. And culture doesn't let that be either. So, and that's good, but sometimes we need to play a little bit. I don't know if I do it.
Yes, you do.
I do?
Yeah, you walk down the street and Arnie woofs at people like a dog, and you jump and play and join people.
I feel better. It's very simple. Being an adult and behaving like an adult and being an official person is very good. That's okay. I like that too. But after a while, it gets boring. And you want to have more life. Everybody is still a child. The child is inside of everybody. So I wouldn't say I do it. It sort of just happens to me. And something about children I want to say, but I have to stand up so to show you something. So I want to just inform you of that. Okay, so something that children do, I noticed years ago, is very, very important. And everybody should watch children do this until about the age of 3 or 4. What children do is they don't just, let's say Amy is a mother figure.
Should I stay down here?
You can stand up too.
Oh.
You have to stand up too.
Is that okay?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. So let's pretend that Amy is a parent. Okay? Okay, Xenia? And I'm a child. Okay? So I'm like this. Now, I want everybody to learn from children, watch them exactly what they do on the street. So we're walking down the street, and then suddenly I go like this.
Come on, this way.
Okay.
Come on.
There's always a little jump. This is extremely important, this jump. You're walking along as a child, you follow your dreaming. You go here, you go here, you go here, and you jump. That jump is one of the big keys to good health. I'll explain that to you. So we watch body signals, and we see little children, healthy little children, they walk along, and then, this,
all children everywhere, at least where we've been in the world.
It's a universal language.
Yep.
Whether it's in Africa, or in Russia, Japan, the United States, wherever children are, they have this universal language. Deet, 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 deet. Deet, 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 deet. This is the most important thing we can learn from children, that it's okay to go deet, 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 but occasionally you need to be open to, something new. teet, 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 and then open up suddenly to something new. This is one of the great secrets to good health and feeling well. Good health isn't the most important thing, but it's important. But so you need to let yourself relax or work at something, whatever, teet, teet, teet is okay. But occasionally, give yourself every hour the freedom to make a jump, to suddenly go, something new, let it catch your attention. Do something else besides just trying to do this, 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 and this. A little tiny jump, everyone has their own way of doing it, is extremely important. And as you age, it can be a matter of great importance for the nervous system. Otherwise, the nervous system can do that to you. And that looks like symptoms or problems or something like that. But some of it could be helped with a psychology of being That's so important. I can't stress how important that is. And you notice it if you really relax and you let yourself be moved and you have a sort of even dream-like, even spiritual experience. In that experience, if it's really authentic, is a oops, a little doot-doot is in there too. And that little doot is like having a Zen mind or open mind. Call it what you want, I don't care, but let yourself play a little bit more.
I mean, one possibility, we do it all the time, but we're not really aware of it. Like you're walking down the street and then suddenly something catches your attention. You see a little flower that's, oh, flower. Or you're walking and you see, I don't know, something that you hate or whatever. You're just going about life normally and then things catch our attention. We call those little flirts that catch your attention. And usually we think that's nothing. But if you catch it and you follow it, like you see a flower and then you can be a flower, or you can walk and something else catches your attention. It's a constant thing that we're in all the time. Well, it could be shamanic or it could be really simple and really basic. You walk down the street and you're feeling you're all involved in something and you're not sure about life. Then you see this beautiful flower. It's like a message coming to you. Little boop, oh, flower. And there's something about just feeling it for a moment. It's not even a big deal, necessarily. Just feeling it, feeling that flower, feeling how the flower is moved by the sun, feeling maybe something hopeful is inside of you also that you didn't realize. Just for that little boop. But normally we just forget it and just keep walking. But it can be very easy. That's one way to pick up that little bloop feeling.
We were coming to the seminar and something caught our attention on the way to the seminar, and it was a little child. And I think it wasn't Russian finally, it may have been Italian, but whatever the child was, that caught our attention. And both of us, the child was going, "Blah!"
Right.
And to everybody, including us, the child went, "Blah," like that. We really liked that. So we went back to the child like that too. "Blah!" And that made us feel more humor and more fun that we needed, not just to be so serious about the seminar, but also to bring more play in. That was a flirt that taught us that.
Then you talked about it in the group, and then everybody in the group was going like that. Everybody needed this fun thing. It connected really to everybody. So that was good.
You see, now this is psychology, but it's also physics. In almost all systems in physics, there's a mathematical term. You don't have to understand it. I'll explain it. It's called stochastic in English. Stochastic means predictable and also sometimes random and unpredictable. So this is part of nature. All systems are partly predictable, sometimes unpredictable. So it's a piece of nature. It's what we share with the whole universe. The stochastic, or like a kid, doot, 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 doot. It's very important to pick that up. Everybody and I am both a child and an ancient person. So the secret to youth is to forget it. Don't try to be young. Try to be both the child and the ancient one, and let yourself dance in between all of those things. The secret to youth is not to try to look young or be young. That's fine. That's also normal. But time is important. You're 50, you're 30, you're 50, you're 70, you're 90, and whatever. And one of the great secrets is somehow, at some deep level, time does exist and it doesn't exist. All that exists is your body experience. It's okay to follow time. What time is it? This and this and this. Get to the airport. We have to be at the airport. Yeah. We will go to Tokyo soon and all of that and what have you. But also be in time, get uptight and forget it. Follow your body as much as you can. That's a secret.
I'm just thinking, speaking of our body, that's great. Our bodies, can we just take a break for just like a second? I'm just is it okay? Just time, because I'm noticed, I'm embarrassed that my stomach was hungry. It was growling, and I was afraid that they were hearing. Like, you don't hear it? It's amazing. I was so shy because I didn't eat very much this morning because I had a sore throat, and then
maybe your stomach is growling because you want to make more noise.
Speaking of noticing our bodies, I want to make more noise. I think I just had to say it because if we're talking about noticing our bodies, otherwise I'm just like have no body in the moment either and pretending that I think I was preoccupied and worried that these guys were listening to my growling stomach and was like covering over everything.
So we should talk about that then.
Okay.
You should say that because there's a symptom in the moment.
Okay. Okay. So
in the moment you had a body symptom.
So in the moment I just noticed that I really enjoy the interview, actually. It's great, and it's fun. And I was shy to say that I didn't eat very much this morning, so I'm kind of hungry, and my stomach's growling, and I was worried that it was coming out in the sounds on the TV, and that was embarrassing me, so I thought I should take a break, so I asked you to take a break, but I was shy about it.
But maybe you should growl more.
Maybe I need to growl more. Okay, my hands go like this, so that must be right. Growl. I'm shy. Okay. Growl. Oh, it reminds me of this in our seminar. There are these two guys who at one point were being these Russian bears, which was so great. It reminds me of the Russian bears.
So the Russian bear is here.
I guess the Russian bear
Amy,
is
you've
there.
become a Russian bear.
I've never met a Russian bear in person, but I guess I feel like one. Yeah, I guess that's right.
We're in Russia. The bear wants to be here.
Yeah, there's like a energy of I'm shy.
Dancing. Ecstasy.
Dancing and that's right. Something ecstatic and free, and I think I feel a little bit shy because I'm on a show or something with cameras and this whole environment. But there's something kind of wild and breaking free and ecstatic in me that I didn't realize.
Yeah.
I'm very amazed by, actually. I really actually like your questions, and I'm excited, and it's been a really touching and sort of ecstatic experience being here in the seminar too, with everybody. I think that's trying to come out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a good example of body sounds or symptoms.
Exactly.
And behind that was the Russian bear.
Yeah.
Russia wants to express itself through
Yeah. There's some great, I think I feel some great
you.
power and strength in the people.
Yeah.
I think from our work here is really beautiful and powerful and overwhelming and
And in you.
and in me too. Yeah,
Yeah.
it brings it up in me.
So there's the child. She's behaving normally, and now comes, wow. Perfect.
Exactly. Thanks.
Well, my father was born in outside of Moscow, so that was important. And his family lived outside of Moscow before they moved to the United States. So I heard Russian when I was a baby, because my grandmother would speak to my father in Russian. And so Russia became one of my homelands. So Russia is part of my home. And so for me, Russia is more than a country. It's a great spirit. And even with all its cultural problems and all the difficulties of its history and its own difficulties and what have you, deeper underneath it, there's something like Amy was just showing. So that is one of the reasons, one of the things that has always attracted me to Russia, is these are my people also.
That's nice. Well, I have a similar thing because a lot of my family comes from Moscow, and other countries, from Ukraine and Latvia and many areas. And until very recently, some of my relatives lived in Moscow.
A couple of years ago.
That was maybe 10, 15 years ago. They moved to the United States. There was a family who was quite a well-known physicist, I think, here. And I think that I also feel a very similar thing. There's some deep spirit that I'm barely aware of that I think draws me here and draws us here, these deep roots that I almost can't identify what that is, but I think it's partly this Russian bear, and there's like a hardiness, a warmth and hardiness in the people that feels very familiar in some strange way, because I haven't lived here myself. And I think when I hear like the Russian music and dance and the richness of the culture, something feels so at home and just feels like it's in my blood or in our bones or something. But it's like something very far away, and connecting with it deeply is very powerful. So that's what I feel. And I feel so welcomed by everybody. You should say that.
I should say that?
What's your concept?
Mike, oh yes, right. Well, democracy, as everybody knows, well, as some people know, is based upon the idea of trying to give equal rights to all citizens. Said simply, that's what democracy is about. The attempt to give equal rights. But as we all know, democracies have lots of trouble. And so there's equal rights. Equal rights is important. Equal power is important. But it's not about relationship. Democracy is good in the idea of equality, but it is not so good in we need a democracy that has relationship in it, as the key to community and the key to nations is not just equal power. Demokrati. Demo means citizen. Krati in Greek means power. So equal power is important, but it's missing. Power is not going to be sustainable in relationships. So we need a deeper democracy. So deep democracy, to me, I defined deep democracy at the end of the 1980s to mean equal rights, equal powers, but also bringing in all the projections, all the ghost roles. If I talk about Obama, bring Obama in. If she talks about the Russian bear, bring in the Russian bear. Deep democracy is equal rights to everybody at the surface and equal rights to all the dreams and feelings that are underneath. We need them to work on relationships. Equal rights here, equal rights in dreaming, and the equal right to be in your deepest self, the essence of things that helps you go between the various energies, the and the We need to be really deep facilitators in order to help facilitate the world that we live in. I can't go through the details of that, but very quickly said, deep democracy is about dealing with reality and facts the way they are. That's very important. And at the same time, remembering that the other people we mentioned and what have you are roles and need to be experienced or felt into. And at the same time, deep democracy depends upon people who are able to go so deep that they can dream into and help facilitate and feel into the various roles in the world and in groups so that they can come together. We need these deeper levels to resolve problems at the surface. Maybe we give just one example of that. Can we do that?
Mm-hmm. No, please.
Yeah?
Yes, yes.
I think the easiest one is maybe we talk about working in Ireland.
Mm-hmm. That's great.
Should I say more?
Yeah, go for it.
So, one simple example of this is we were working in Ireland before the vote that was years ago between the two parties that were fighting. I won't go name them or go into details to make the story very short. One of the parties, one of them said, "Your people attacked us. You killed my father, my mother in a bomb attack."
Mm-hmm. And the others said, "I was in a bar and your people came in and blew up the whole bar."
You killed my people.
You killed my people.
You killed my
You
people.
did it.
I will never
I hate you.
I will never be in agreement
I will never
with you.
agree with you. This escalated and escalated.
Okay.
There were hundreds of people around.
Hundreds. This is an
same
open
time.
forum. Hundreds and hundreds of people. And we noticed on the neck of one of the people that it was getting very red. Signals. The dream-like level. Body signals. Why is that neck so red?
You said.
I said to the person, why, just suddenly, excuse me, I don't mean to stop the argument, but I just need to ask you, why is your neck so red? And the man looked at me. He said, my doctor told me that I shouldn't be here because I had just had a heart attack and I could die. And the other man...
And the other man said, what, you? I have lethally...
His opponent said...
Lethally, deadly, high blood pressure, and my doctor told me I shouldn't be here, I could die.
You could die?
You could die?
You could die?
No, you?
They said to each other.
They just looked at each other for a long time and just stared.
And the whole room got quiet. We went to another level, deep democracy, reality, then bring in the subtle signals, the dreamlike aspects of things.
And then they realized they shared this. They had been talking so much about death on the outside, but in the moment, they realized they both could die right here.
We're close to death.
Yeah.
And they came closer.
they came closer, and then one of the men went behind the other man, and we all didn't know what he was going to do. And he just put his arm around him like that.
A little bit, and the whole group calmed down,
Yeah.
and it was easier.
They stayed together for hours, and
Yes.
they were together the whole time. It was very touching.
This was Dublin the day before the voting
Voted
for
on the
peace.
Process.
So it was going in the direction of peace. So maybe all those hundreds of people voted more for peace. It certainly didn't hurt. So deep democracy is reality, my group, your group, our problems. And then deep democracy is, what are you feeling? What else is happening? The body, consciousness of that, what's that trying to say? And that also then will relate you to the essence level in deep democracy. In this case, it was, we're both going to die. And therefore, let's stop the argument at this level. So deep democracy can be one of the great keys, we've seen it many times, to large group conflicts as well as to organizations and businesses. And couples.
And couples, it's the same thing.
Couples, classrooms. Our culture should start learning all of this in kindergarten. Please, all parents and all teachers, remember, please, 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 in kindergarten, 2 children have a fight on the playground. Okay, bring them into the classroom and play those out as roles. I want the ball. No, I want the ball. I want the ball. Then say thank you and let everybody begin to play that out. Dreaming together, so to speak. Culture needs to change to play more with the roles. Then by the time we're adults, it'll be easier to do that.
And I'm just thinking also a really practical thing why it's so important that like, whether it's between nations or couples or warring parties or whatever, just noticing one little signal like Arny showed before can be a matter of something working or not working. Like if we're making a negotiation, we have a contract or something like in organizations, and if we shake hands and we say yes, but one of us or both of us are looking away at the same time, yes, of course, we agree. We will enter into this as countries or we will enter into this as organizations. We'll say yes here, but I'm probably going to pull out and I will not follow anything that I said yes to at another point.
Don't ever make a
very
peace
important.
treaty if there's double signals. It doesn't work. A double signal. One signal is, let's make peace.
Yeah.
And the other signal,
It's the one that's intended. Usually we identify
I
with that one.
intend, that's the main
Yes, of
signal.
course.
Double signal is,
I'm leaving, I don't agree with this at all, or something like that. I will leave later on. That's the second signal, is the double signal that we don't identify with and
don't trust
don't say.
the primary signal only, because the double signal will take some time and will become true unto itself. She will
Later
leave.
on.
She will break up the agreement later. It's very important to know that. Watch double signals, signals that are not identified with in the moment. Both.
Both.
Both. This is true. In the moment, let's try. But this is true. I really don't want to. So this has to be worked out also.
That's the whole process, is all of the signals. Great.
Thank you.
Thank you, Xenia. Thank you. Thank you, everybody.